Hey everybody, welcome to another 10-minute Marvel video. I'm Petter, and today I want to talk about kind of the wonderful juxtaposition of the first episode and then episodes 3 and 4. This actually came to me, and I've been thinking about this a little bit with it after hearing Koi Jandro, who does great stuff on Real Rejects, his own channel, New Rock Stars, big comic book fan, superhero movie fan, does great content creation. I really enjoy his stuff. But he and I disagree big time on one thing, and that's about the first episode of Agatha All Along. He now is really enjoying Agatha All Along. After episode 3, he was like, okay, this is way better. It was kind of what he was looking for. And then episode 4 really kind of cemented it for him. But he really doesn't like the first episode because he found the first episode to be hokey, kind of cheesy, cliched, and that's not what he was hoping for. And then episodes 3 and 4 with the trials, where we're really shifting genres every time. They've made a very intentional choice, and thanks to kind of Real Rejects, they were talking about this over there, but they've made a real intentional choice of the characters don't change when they go into these different trials. Their outfits change, the setting changes, but they're not using, like in episode 4, they're not using 70s slang. In the 70s recording studio, they are still themselves. And the first episode, I mean, Catherine Hahn leans real hard into the accent. The actor who plays Herb leans real hard into the accent for being in kind of the hex state of the existence of Agatha. And I think there was a very specific reason for this juxtaposition between the two. Because they wanted to set kind of this differentiating line as to how this show is different and changes from WandaVision. WandaVision, everybody kind of took on a little bit of the personality of the sitcom of the time. So it wasn't just like you had Wanda in the hex, even truly acting like herself all the time. She would still play out the part of whatever sitcom she was in. And we see that in the first episode. Because Agatha is still in the hex. Like, she has been hexed. And while the hex has distorted and it's no longer just sitcoms, and she's diving into like true crime or crime shows, stuff like that, she still is in a show. She is still playing a part in that show. So, of course she has that accent. Of course it is over the top. It's more cliched. Because it's literally her reality. Her reality is that show. It is the Mayor of Easttown, basically crime show. Obviously with some supernatural elements thrown in, much like the actual show had. And I really like that you get that focus there that then informs you later how well the Witch's Road is creating these trials. And it's creating these trials that kind of parody or set up specific things that now the characters are stepping into that. They are not changing. They are just going to a different kind of setting. they aren't actually in the movie, in the 70s horror movie, in the 70s music, whatever it might be. They aren't in the kind of Real Housewives type feel of episode 3. They are just, well, everything changes around them. They are still themselves. And so it informs us as the viewer kind of the difference between these two things, about how what Agatha was seeing in episode 1 is not reality. It was not real. It was not true. And while there might have been things bleeding into it, that now here on the Witch's Road, these are true. These are reality. They are stepping into it as themselves. And the 70s nature, all of that is actually true to what the story is. And I still think, with additional trials coming up, there should be one for the Green Witch and there should be one for the Divination Witch, at least. And that will get us through episode 6. Then with 3 episodes remaining, I think we're going to see kind of some more of that. With then the final challenge for whatever Agatha, her challenge is, I think there's still a really good chance that she's going to have to step into a house that we are familiar with in Westview. And that she's going to have to maybe deal with some of the reality or the twist on reality that Wanda had created. However, she's not going to be changing into the nosy neighbor again. She is not going to be playing the role that she was in WandaVision or she was playing in the first episode of Agatha All Along. Now she's truly going to be herself in that role. And she's in that setting. She's not having to pretend to be anything else, and kind of confronting kind of the witchy aspects, the confronting the fact that she has lost her powers to the Scarlet Witch, I think is going to kind of be that final trial, which I think is going to be an interesting episode to check out, especially if it is one of those last episodes. They could spread that out over several to tell kind of a bigger story, to tell a bigger trial than we're getting in these one episode trial per witch. But let me know your thoughts on that. Do you enjoy kind of the juxtaposition and how Marvel has intentionally, and Jac Schaeffer and the showrunner, well, she is basically the showrunner on that, how there is this separation of this is actually reality versus this is the hex, and why there is such a difference there? To me, like, thinking about that, it makes me appreciate that first episode, which I enjoyed the first episode a lot, but I can see why it might not have felt quite right with the expectation of what this show was going to be and The Witch's Road, but the reasoning for it and why it was created to be that way. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comment section below. And if you're enjoying this content, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have other rumors, theory videos, all sorts of things around Agatha All Along, and other news and rumors that are popping up, as well as videos on my comic book collection and different Marvel trading cards, stuff like that. And every week we do our podcast. That comes out on Tuesdays. This week we'll be covering Agatha All Along episode 4. So if you want to hear more of a conversation around stuff, check out the podcast. You can find it here on YouTube. Click on the channel and then the podcast tab, or you can find it wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcasts from. But with that, I'll see you next time.